and that guarantee is precisely what President Donald Trump repeatedly has put in question. Over recent months, Trump has publicly threatened to relocate matches from cities he deems unsafe, specifically name-checking Los Angeles, Seattle, and Boston. The disturbing reality is that FIFA, whose contracts are technically with the host cities, signaled compliance. While safety and security are the government's responsibility, a spokesperson AS declaration that they would defer to the president essentially handed Trump a political veto over Gianni Infantino's biggest operation. This political instability has an immediate quantifiable cost: the paralysis of local sponsorship. As Bob Lynch of Sponsor United confirms, the threat of relocation forces brands to slow down their decision-making process, or worse, activate legal out clauses designed to guard against catastrophe. For host cities that depend on this revenue for fan festivals and ancillary events, the political chaos has frozen millions in potential funding. But the financial burden was immense even before the political threats began. Chicago, the third largest city in the U.S., withdrew its bid in 2018. Executive Kara Bachmann stated clearly that the FIFA terms were demands, not requests, and the city refused to risk leaving us in debt. Meanwhile, cities that stayed in the game are already deep in the red. New Jersey is spending $37 million on MetLife Stadium upgrades, and Miami-Dade County has approved $46 million just for security and transit services. The 2026 World Cup is a high-stakes financial gamble. What happens when politics becomes the greatest financial adversary to an event that demands unprecedented budgetary sacrifice? Unprecedented budgetary sacrifices? The first and most immediate cost of this uncertainty did not manifest in construction sites, but rather at the local sponsorship negotiation tables. The political threat arrived directly from President Donald Trump, who, in recent months, repeatedly warned of his willingness to relocate 2026 World Cup matches from cities he deems unsafe. He specifically named Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Boston as areas of concern. Although FIFA's contracts are officially with the host cities directly, the governing body indicated it would fall in line with the presidency. In October, a spokesperson noted that safety and security are obviously the government's responsibility, and they decide what is in the best interest for public safety. Trump leveraged this influence, bragging that a simple phone call to FIFA head Gianni Infantino, whom he called phenomenal, would be enough to move games, claiming Infantino would do it very easily. This political instability created a climate of commercial panic. Host cities retain the prerogative to seek local sponsorship revenue for fan festivals and non-competing categories outside the main stadiums. Bob Lynch, CEO of Sponsor United, confirmed the impact, stating clearly that the threat of relocation is an obstacle that inevitably slows down the decision-making process of brands at the table. Companies are now demanding protective clauses in their contracts, not unlike those created to guard against natural disasters like an earthquake. Above all, Lynch warns, brands simply want the noise to stop. However, the political risk is merely a multiplier of an already structural financial crisis. For many cities, the cost of hosting the World Cup was exorbitant even before Washington's interference. Chicago serves as the prime example. In 2018, the third largest city in the U.S. withdrew its bid. 7 years later, Kara Bachmann, the long-serving executive of the Chicago Sports Commission, staunchly defends that decision, stating, "There was not a way to get a handle on the financials in a way I could confidently stand behind." Bachmann described FIFA's terms not as requests, but as demands, transferring the financial burden to the city to the extent it risked leaving us in debt. Chicago's preemptive withdrawal reveals the harsh budgetary reality imposed by FIFA's requirements. Host cities still willing to proceed are already incurring massive expenses. New Jersey, the venue for the final, has spent $37 million on MetLife Stadium upgrades and must handle an additional $65 million for transit security across bridges, tunnels, and airports. Miami-Dade County has already approved $46 million for services associated with the Hard Rock Stadium hosting duties. This extreme financial cost, coupled with pervasive political risk, creates an environment where commercial uncertainty is the new rule. The next step is to analyze whether this combination of demands and threats will force FIFA to finally look inward. That introspection, however, seems to be the luxury that FIFA does not afford itself, especially when the political factor intertwines with operational costs. Donald Trump's threat to relocate games from cities like Seattle, San Francisco, or Boston is not merely political rhetoric, it is a seismic tremor that directly hits the financial engine of the tournament: local sponsors. Bob Lynch, the CEO of Sponsor United, confirmed this industry panic. When there is a real threat of pulling the rug out, moving the event from one major market to another, brands slam on the brakes. Political uncertainty functions exactly like a pandemic or an economic crisis. It severely slows down the conversion of deals. Sponsors planning to invest heavily in fan festivals and non-competing activations in host cities are now demanding mandatory exit clauses. They refuse to pay for a stage that might be dismantled by a single hostile tweet. But the sponsors' panic is only the tip of a much deeper iceberg: the cost of submission to FIFA's demands. No city better encapsulates this financial dilemma than Chicago. In 2018, Chicago, the third largest U.S. metropolis and home to the iconic Soldier Field, withdrew its bid. 7 years later, Kara Bachman, CEO of the Chicago Sports Commission, remains resolute in her decision. She states that there was not a way to get a handle on the financials in a way I could confidently stand behind. Bachman was adamant. FIFA's terms were not requests, they were demands, allowing no room for edits or changes. The core risk was leaving the city in debt. This explains why other cities are investing massive guaranteed sums with no corresponding guarantee of total revenue return. New Jersey, host of the final at MetLife Stadium, has already spent $37 million solely on facility upgrades required by FIFA. Furthermore, Congressman Josh Gottheimer confirmed the state will shoulder $65 million in cost for transit security across crucial hubs, bridges, tunnels, and airports. And Miami-Dade County has committed $46 million for services associated with hosting games at Hard Rock Stadium. These are amounts driven by rigid contracts, which, as Bachman observed, turn the World Cup into a significant opportunity cost for other essential public ventures. The requirements, according to Chicago's executives, have simply taken over the local planning for some host cities. This financial logic, guaranteed costs against uncertain revenues, combined with acute political volatility, suggests that the host cities are trapped. They submit to FIFA's draconian rules, hoping for profit, but now face the risk of having their primary prize snatched away by the White House, or of seeing their investment undercut by stalled sponsorship deals. This unprecedented pressure on the U.S. cities raises a critical question. If the cities are paying such a high price in infrastructure and security, why does FIFA struggle to deliver the commercial product it promises? We must turn our gaze to FIFA's other major ventures to understand the depth of their market miscalculations. If we look at other large FIFA ventures to understand the depth of their market miscalculations, the recent expanded Club World Cup in the US offers a cautionary tale. Despite President Infantino proclaiming the inaugural tournament a roaring success, sources confirm that more than 50% of the premium hospitality packages went unsold. This gap between FIFA's declared confidence and actual market performance is precisely what worries local organizers preparing for 2026, and it highlights a critical vulnerability. The immediate consequence of political uncertainty, fueled by President Trump's threats to relocate games, is market paralysis. As sponsorship intelligence CEO Bob Lynch warned, potential local sponsors are slowing down their decision-making process significantly. Brands are now bringing clauses to the negotiating table demanding legal protection, including the right to pull out should the tournament be unexpectedly shifted from target locations like Seattle or Los Angeles. This fear of being caught in the crosshairs of federal political instability has a chilling effect on local revenue generation. This severely compromises the host city's already strained budgets. We must recall that locations like New Jersey and Miami have already committed tens of millions, $37 million for MetLife Stadium upgrades, $46 million approved by Miami-Dade County, before even factoring in massive security and transit costs. The political uncertainty turns this high initial investment into a highly speculative venture. For these cities, every day the noise continues, the financial exposure increases. In this precarious environment, the foresight of Chicago, which withdrew its bid in 2018, becomes increasingly validated. Chicago Sports Commission executive Kara Bachman's assertion that there was not a way to get a handle on the financials without risking debt now rings as prophetic wisdom. Chicago's resilience, choosing to host events like the profitable 2025 Premier League Summer Series instead, sets a clear precedent. Prestige is secondary to financial solvency. The crucial projection for the coming years is whether this resistance will force FIFA towards self-reflection. Bachman is skeptical, stating frankly that nobody has confidence that FIFA will truly look inward. Yet, the confluence of stalled local sponsorships for 2026 and the Club World Cup unsold hospitality seats suggests that FIFA's rigid contract structure may soon meet the breaking point of municipal budgets. If FIFA insists on selling the same terms for future tournaments, as Bachman warns regarding the 2031 Women's World Cup bid, more cities will likely follow Chicago's lead. The era where cities were willing to sell their soul just for the FIFA brand might finally be ending, transforming the 2026 challenge into a high-stakes negotiation about the real cost of global sport. We have seen that the threat of political instability and FIFA's draconian financial demands have created a scenario of unnecessary risk for the 2026 World Cup. The panic among local sponsors is not just a commercial concern, it is a direct reaction to the notion that a game could be relocated from Los Angeles to Seattle with a single phone call from Donald Trump to Gianni Infantino. This level of uncertainty slows down decision-making and forces brands to negotiate legal protection clauses against political earthquakes, a necessary hedge against volatile governance. Simultaneously, the experience of Chicago, which refused to sell its soul due to the complete transfer of the financial burden to the city, serves as a critical mirror. Cities like New Jersey and Miami, having already invested tens of millions in security and infrastructure, desperately rely on local sponsorship revenue that is now frozen by hesitation. The lack of self-reflection Kara Bachman attributes to FIFA, combined with the rigidity of the contracts, places American host cities in a position of extreme budgetary vulnerability, making them hostages both to the global governing body and to domestic politics. The critical risk is not whether the World Cup will happen, but the actual cost and instability the host cities will have to swallow for the event to proceed. This is our analysis about political uncertainty and the real cost of the 2026 World Cup. Subscribe for more reports on the World Cup. And you, what is your opinion? Comment below.